Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the half-day Wednesday retreat. So turn on this light. So this Wednesday, all of the...
Good morning, everyone.
We're having some technical difficulties here. Okay, let's get set up. So, so today, all of the IRC resident volunteers are sitting a retreat themselves at IRC. Well, it's online, but they're sitting at IRC. So I was asked to teach today and live stream it on YouTube, since I do that on my own for happy hour. Without support. So today we don't have the resident volunteers with us giving us a tour of the center. So I would like to invite you to give yourself a visual tour of your own environment in this moment, and meeting it as if for the first time with beginner's eyes. And I am in Mountain View, California, and it's lovely to see all the greetings and hellos and good mornings. And I'm in Mountain View, California, where I was going to say the air is clear. As I see Ram is also sharing, yes, the air quality is much better today in the Bay Area. There's been a soft, gentle rain that has helped clear the air and the wind. So finally, able to go out for a walk and open the windows and all that. So really appreciating the sound of the birds, the coolness of the air. I keep looking out my window because there's so much joy to just see this little bird sitting on a little branch. Yeah, things that we often take for granted. Quality of air, good air to breathe, good air to breathe. So for our practice together, for our retreat together, mini retreat, the theme that I would like to continue with and invite us to practice more deeply this morning is the theme of mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of the body. And this is the theme that Gil has been presenting this week during the 7 a.m. retreats. And it's timely to take more time today on this Wednesday to go even deeper with mindfulness of the body. So mindfulness of the body is the first teaching in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, in the 4 establishments of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body is the very first foundation, first establishment. And it's important to treat it not as, oh, we'll do mindfulness of the body, done, check, now move on to the other 3 establishments in the Satipatthana Sutta. That's not quite the idea, but that the foundation always, I mean, it's as if you build a house. When you build a house and you make sure that you have a really solid foundation. After you've built the house, you don't think to yourself, okay, now I'm done with the foundation. I can pull it out and focus on the drapery and on the flowers and on the garden and on the whatever, the furniture. No, the foundation always has to be there. The foundation is so important. It doesn't get forsaken when other levels, layers get added on. So, and this is one, I would say, I've seen this with some practitioners, that they think that, oh, mindfulness of the body is kind of a beginner's practice. It's like the first foundation. I'm done with that. And then they want to move on to mindfulness of mind, blah, 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 blah. And then they get kind of like, ooh, all over the place with losing this most important foundation. Always need to be rooted, established in this most important foundation, which is the body. So today, in our mini retreat together, in our short retreat together, let's establish ourselves. Let's settle. Let's fully settle and come to the body, rest in the body, relish the delight, the goodness, the nourishment of settling in the body, feeling the body, and treating, or rather perceiving, having the perspective of body as an organ of perception. And I will lead us in this in the meditation, so that the sense isn't that you are noticing and sensing the sensations from the control tower, but that the body as an organ of perception from the inside is opening up to sense, to perceive, to receive. It's a different way of relating. So that's my hope, for us to experiment with that today and open up to that. So with that as preparation, I would like us to get into our meditation. I would like to invite all of us to get into our meditation posture. And whether you need to move in your chair, lift yourself up to sit up more straight, with a sense of integrity, or if you need to move and lie down, or if you need to move to a cushion right now. And gently closing your eyes. And landing in the body. Arriving, each moment a new arrival. Arriving again and again in this moment. And if at any point during this meditation you find yourself lost in thoughts, not a problem. Begin again, arrive again. Each moment a new arrival. Without judging, beating yourself up, pouring perfectly good moments after lost moments. Begin again. So let's begin. Let's begin again in this moment. Feeling our feet on the ground. Or if you're sitting on the cushion, your underside, the underside of your legs, touching the earth. the body always present, mindfulness of the body, always present as the foundation. The feet, contacting the earth. Inviting the sensations of contact, hardness and softness, tingling, noticing the difference between the top of your feet and the bottom of your feet. There is a difference in the sensations. As if your feet were an organ of perception, sensing from the inside. Sensing the contact points. Underneath, and the lack of them up above. Inviting yourself to also now turn the awareness, allowing awareness to become present from the inside of your hands. Turning attention to the right hand. The sensations, the tips of your fingers, the fingertips, starting with your forefinger. And your thumb of the right hand. Noticing the sensations, the tips of the middle finger. Now the tips of the ring finger. And the pinky. Feeling the sensations. Inviting the sensations to be felt. the tips of all the fingers in the right hand. Moving down the rest to the body of the fingers touching, connecting to the hand itself, to the palm itself. And now the sensations in your palm. Palm of the right hand. Sensations of contact, coolness, warmth. There might be tingling. Feeling the sensations on the back of the right hand. Not so much from the control tower, but again, if the hand was an organ of perception, was feeling itself, as if the hand was feeling itself sensing, feeling. Now inviting the left hand also to be sensed. The fingertips, the palm, the back of the hand. The hands are often the most sensitive parts of the body, filled with sensation. And as the body receives the breath, natural breath, one breath at a time. In breath, out breath. Now inviting the awareness to embrace, to touch the abdomen. Receiving the sensations of the breath. Both relaxing, softening the body with each breath, and also the same sense of curiosity, the same sense of distinction that we apply to the hands. Allowing the same sensitivity, same curiosity, same settledness to inhabit, to imbue the abdomen. Make sure that the sense of curiosity or awareness isn't tightening your body, your forehead, your neck, shoulders. It's a sense of relaxed, relaxed curiosity. It's a receiving curiosity for the sensations. And yet, it stays with, it's not diffuse. It's present, attentive, staying in one place. As if the abdomen was an organ of perception, a keen, relaxed, receptive perception. Soft, relaxed, yet knowing from the inside all the sensations of the breath. Now inviting the awareness to be expanded internally from the abdomen, expanded throughout the body, little by little, to your sit bones, to your legs and feet, to chest, neck and shoulders, arms, hands, head, face. As the breath moves through your body, wherever the attention is called to throughout the body. Maybe the attention is called to the neck and shoulders. Receiving the breath there, noticing the sensations. Maybe there's sensations of tightness. What does that feel like? Let it be perceived, received from the inside, as if points of sensations, scintillating points of light internally, received, perceived. Without any labels attached from the control tower or any stories. But from the inside and staying with, not jumping from one place to the next, staying with one area for a little while till you really get to know it. Until it is known, it really is known and seen from a different perspective that can only open up if one stays, if one listens deeply. Without any overlays or judgments. Giving yourself. Relaxing, completely giving yourself to all the sensations in the body. Their tunes, their songs. Listening deeply to the symphony, one note at a time. So the invitation for the walking meditation today is to take the same sense of curiosity for distinctions, for nuances, not in a tight way, but in a way to collect the mind, in a way to really touch into the experience, not hover around it, but actually really touch into the experience with specificity. So, the same way that we were exploring the fingertips, the sensations in the fingertips of one hand, and then the rest of the hand, the palm, etc. Really specificity of the sensations from the inside, again, without getting tight, but the sense of curiosity to stay with. So with walking, as you're walking, some might be familiar with the walking meditation, with bringing attention to lifting, moving, placing of each foot. I'm actually going to invite you to make that even more detailed. Explore, see what arises, and explore the moment when the weight shifts from one foot to another, the contact on the bottom of one foot, it shifts, how the contact is the front of the foot, middle of the foot, back of the foot, and when that shifts to the other foot, etc., etc. Really, you might need to slow down your walking just a little bit at first for the mind to catch up. But with these distinctions, because sometimes we're like, oh yeah, walking, and the mind kind of goes here and there and everywhere. This is kind of a training, experimenting today. What if you're curious about these distinctions? What happens actually? What happens with the mind? The quality of the mind, and what happens with the sensations? What happens with the meeting of these two? So let's take about now, I guess, less than 20 minutes, and we'll come back. Actually, we'll take 20 minutes. Why not? So we'll come back at 10:54 a.m. or 10:55 a.m. California, 5 to the hour, wherever you are. We'll come back 5 to the hour. Okay. Enjoy your walking. Enjoy your walking. And I really mean that. Enjoy it. There's a lot of joy in these sensations as we take them for granted. Welcome back, everyone. Now, for continuing our practice, our sitting practice, I'd like to invite you to get into a comfortable position, whatever that might be for you, sitting or lying down. And arriving again, arriving in this moment, in this body, in this configuration. Receiving the breath, letting the breath be received by the body. As if cellularly, received by every cell of the body, just as every cell experiences sensations. Allowing there to be a landing, a relaxing, a body, this body, relaxing, landing onto itself. And with a sense of ease, softness, relaxation, without any tightness. Throughout the body, inviting more attentiveness to be wrapped in the awareness, for the awareness from the inside. To be wrapped, to be imbued with interest. Interest to know, interest to understand, interest for the secrets to be revealed, for different perspectives to manifest themselves. And starting on the foundational level of the body. Whatever sensations attract your attention in this moment, whether it's sensations of breathing in the abdomen, or your hands, or anywhere else in the body. Staying, opening up with gentle curiosity. To sense, to know, to touch, for the awareness to really be close, not hovering around, but infusing the sensations. Wherever in the body you're exploring, I will drop in a few categories and see if they're present, see if they can be sensed. If this distinction could be made. Hardness, softness, roughness, if not in this area of the body, maybe a neighboring area. Smoothness, the opposite of roughness. Heaviness, maybe experienced the whole body as in general. Distinctions, lightness, warmth, coolness, flowing. Cohesion as in the opposite of flowing. Contrastive. Pushing, which might be easiest to feel the areas where the breath is moving. The other side of pushing, supporting. The words, any of them are helpful, you can keep them in your exploration, the invitation to be more fine-tuned in the body. And if not, you can let them go. Be curious. Not just staying on the surface with awareness, but really from the inside penetrating with curiosity. Staying with the areas of the body. That's how the capacity for knowing expands and grows. And if emotions or thoughts are arising, turn to the body. Where are they showing up? How are they showing up in the body? Is the forehead tight? What does it feel like? Neck and shoulders, abdomen, hands. Be curious. How are thoughts showing up in the body? Make distinctions. when awareness is fully immersed in the sensations of the body. From the inside. Sometimes sensations can feel like points in space without a body. The body seems to disappear. If this happens, no worries. Something that naturally can arise. When awareness was deeply settled in the sensations. You may also want to notice that every thought, every emotion shows up in the body somehow. Every thought has a ramification in the body and this sensation somewhere. The same way that in the lake, the trees have an image. Their image can be viewed in the water. And the more calm the lake is, the more clear you can see the image. Calmer the mind, the more you can see the reflection of thoughts in the body, sensation. And for the last moments of this practice period, thanking yourself for having showed up, for having tried, for having practiced, letting go of any judgments or any attachments to outcome. You've tried, you've showed up, you've aligned your actions with your intentions. The rest is not exactly up to you, up to us. We can only do our best, and you've done your best. Trust that. If it could have been any different, it would have been. So thanking yourself for the intention and for showing up and letting go of any judgment, any outcome or attachment to outcome. May the goodness of your intention, may the goodness of your practice, may the goodness of all our practice together, the planting of seeds, in this time, this silent time together, meditating, may it support us, all of us, to open up to goodness, more joy, happiness and ease in our lives, and to serve all others but the same. Thank you all for your practice. So I'd like to say a few words about the practice we did together, then open it up to any reflections or questions. So the practice of mindfulness of the body, it serves so many different purposes, and there's so many different ways to engage in it. And as mentioned earlier, it's part of the first satipatthana, the first foundation of mindfulness, the first establishment of the first way of establishing mindfulness as laid out in the Satipatthana Sutta, which is the four foundations of mindfulness teaching, a very basic and profound teaching. And when I say basic, I don't mean basic as in inferior, or like, oh, you graduate, you move on to, but basic as in fundamental, as in so important. It's so much of what we practice really comes from that teaching, that sutta. So much of the instructions, especially in the West, in the especially in the secular mindfulness, they primarily just glean the very, very surface of the sutta. So there are many different ways to practice mindfulness of the body. There is the breath as one way, using the breath. There's also another teaching that's called Four Elements Meditation. And the Four Elements Meditation, it shows up in the yogic tradition also, which is a different tradition and different way of practicing. And also in Buddhism, the Four Elements can be practiced in different ways. So one way to practice it is actually not, and the four elements being earth, fire, water, and wind. And one way to relate to the four elements meditation is to consider that actually it's not, well, one way the elements in the world, what internally and externally, this body is nature, this body is nature. But that's not the way we're relating to it today. The way we're relating to the four elements meditation is experientially, that in terms of sensations, in terms of the ways that the body senses, feels, there are different aspects to the sensory perception. And for example, the earth element, and these are the invitations that I gave you during the meditation. So this is actually expanded, by the way, this teaching, the four elements meditation teaching is expanded in the Visuddhimagga, which is in the Visuddhimagga and in Abhidhamma translated as the higher teachings, Visuddhimagga as the path of purification teachings, which is the 1,000 pages of instructions, so written 500 years after the death of the Buddha by Buddhaghosa. So the expansion is each of the elements you consider the characteristics. So for example, with the earth element, experientially, it can be experienced as hardness, as softness. So when you're sitting on the cushion, when you're feeling your bottom or you're feeling your hands, feeling the sensations, the raw sensations as softness or hardness or roughness or smoothness or heaviness and lightness. So it's experientially, it's the phenomenological way of experiencing, of perceiving the world from the inside, the phenomenology, the first person experience of these elements internally as these raw sensations, to get really, really close to them, to get really close to them from the inside. So that's for the earth element, those 6 characteristics that I laid out. For the fire element, again, phenomenologically from the inside, the experience is of coolness or heat, detecting warmth or coolness, which is the absence of heat, that distinction. So really tuning our mind, opening the awareness to these distinctions allows for a settling of the attention, of expansion of attention, the same way that, say, if you sit by a babbling brook, if you just look at it, oh yeah, it's water is flowing. If you really sit and look for a few minutes at any scene in nature, distinctions, details start to arise. Your mind settles. You see a lot more. You see, oh, the brook, oh, there are areas of the eddy that the water keeps floating around doesn't pass. You see areas that are bubbles. You see rocks underneath. You see so much more. You become aware. You become present. You become alive with so much that is present there. So similarly, with the 4 elements meditation, this tuning into these subtle distinctions from the inside. With the earth element, I mentioned the 6 characteristics: hardness, softness, heaviness, lightness, roughness, smoothness. With the fire element, heat and coolness, which is the absence of it. With the air element or the wind element, it's pushing and supporting. So pushing is when you're breathing the air inside, the experience of the breath inside kind of pushes. On the other side, there's a sense of supporting. So experientially feeling that. And with the fire and with the water element, the sense of flow that we often feel, for example, when the breath flows in the body, there's a sense of flow. So it's flowing. And the opposite of flowing, when something doesn't flow, there's a sense of cohesion. So that's the other aspect to tune into. So whether you actually find these specific distinctions in your practice, if you use them, or basically just tuning into the distinctions and characteristics, tuning into the fine level can be very, very, can be opening. So this practice of the four elements is taught in the first foundation of mindfulness. And it's also in Abhidhamma and Visuddhimagga, really expanded in the major part of the teaching. And I've practiced this practice quite intensely, actually, for days, very systematically and methodically, starting with one area of the body, actually first noticing all of these distinctions as different areas, and then noticing them in all areas of the body, and noticing them over and over and over and over again for days. And this is a practice that I learned from my Burmese teacher, Burmese master, Pa Auk Sayadaw, Venerable Pa Auk Sayadaw. And he teaches, he's known as the jhana master, living concentration master. And he teaches this practice as a basic, as a fundamental, as a most basic practice. He either starts with anapanasati, mindfulness of the breath, and then does this practice later. Or for people whose minds unsettles a lot, he starts with the mindfulness of the body with the four elements, so that the mind gets really, really settled and immersed in the body, and then moves to mindfulness of the breath. So I say this, I share this with you so that for your own practice, this, especially at times when the mind can be unsettled, the settling in the body in a very fine-tuned, as we bring more curiosity to the distinctions, to the nuances, not again in a control tower, our head from the top, or not in that way, but immersed in the body, allowing the body to feel like an organ of perception, to sense these distinctions from the inside. It allows for sense of concentration, a settling of the mind that won't be available if we're just kind of hovering around the breath or just hovering around the body, but really immersed and curious about these distinctions can open up a lot in our practice. And a couple of other things I mentioned. One is when we become curious and really immersed in the sensations of the body from the inside and these nuanced distinctions, we are then able to see, then if thoughts arise, emotions arise, then turn to the body, notice, become aware of how is this showing up in the body. You will see so much more as to how every thought, every emotion has a mirror image in the body. Just as I was saying, like a placid lake, the reflection of the trees you can see in the water. So the more calm, even if the water isn't calm, you can still see, oh yeah, there are these reflections. So you can see in the body how a thought of worry shows up, how any thoughts, how ill will shows up in the body, where it shows up in the body, how it feels. It's so instructive. It's so instructive. And another thing I mentioned was that I've heard from many yogis, and this is an experience that can arise when the awareness attention is really immersed in the sensations of the body in this way of really paying nuanced attention to the sensation, the way we started with the hands and the feeling the sensations in the fingertips, etc., etc. So you can do that for yourself with all various areas of the body. When the mind really settles with this curiosity, it's one thing that can happen, and it's natural. So if it happens, no reason for fear. It could feel that, oh, the body disappears. There's no sense of the body, but there's just all these points of sensation, as if points of sensation in space, interspersed in space. And that can arise, and it's an experience. It can give you a different perception, different perspective to your body. Evolutionarily, we always feel it's, oh yeah, we feel my body, but there's so many different ways that this body could be perceived. So that can arise, no reason for fear. And if it doesn't arise, it's fine too. Don't make it into like, I want that. That sounds so cool. It's just another experience that arises and passes like so many other experiences. So it's not the same as freedom and having ease with whatever conditions the life gives you, which is the intention of this path, the goal of this path, sense of ease, freedom, really freedom, nibbana can be translated as freedom. And the Buddha says that there is no freedom, there is no nibbana without mindfulness of the body. There is no nibbana without mindfulness of the body. This practice is so fundamentally important. So if you practice nothing else for a long time, practicing mindfulness of the body, and as I was saying earlier, again, if you build a house with a solid foundation, you don't throw out the foundation later when the house is built and just focus on the drapery and the furniture. But the foundation always stays, always coming back, always as a part of the whole thing. So as you're sitting to practice mindfulness of the body, always present, always there, as all the levels are the first foundation, first floor, second floor, third floor, as they're all present, so is the foundation is always holds the other practices, mindfulness of the body. So, yeah. So happy to take some questions. And just to say again, if you joined later, as you see, the format is a little different today. It's because there is a retreat happening. It's a 2-week retreat that Gail teaches every September. And right now, about 100 people are sitting this retreat, and all the volunteers, resident volunteers at IRC, I also are sitting the retreat right now. So I was asked to teach this week and next week the retreat because I have facility with Zoom and YouTube, and I can stream it without any support from the IRC resident volunteers, so they can just be immersed, give themselves fully to their practice. So in this way, I can support them and also support you. So I'm happy to turn to questions now, if there are any. And let's see. So Michael asks, how does mindfulness of the body differ from following the breath? So mindfulness of the breath, so following the breath is taught as part of mindfulness of the body. So in the mindfulness of the body foundation in the Satipatthana Sutta, there are different ways. There are different ways to practice mindfulness of the body. 4 elements is one of them, as I shared today. And mindfulness of the breath, anapanasati, is another way to do mindfulness of the body. So what is important, however, in mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the breath, there are different ways to do it. There are many different ways also to engage in mindfulness of the breath. So one can follow the breath in the framework of the body, immersed in the body, immersed in the sensations of the body. So that way, it's really mindfulness of the breath is really then being practiced as mindfulness of the body. So you can feel the breath in your abdomen, really feeling the sensations, or in the chest, or the whole movement. That's one way to really do mindfulness of the body and the mindfulness of the breath as mindfulness of the body practice. Okay. However, there are ways to do mindfulness of the breath, anapanasati, that's not exactly mindfulness of the body in the same way immersed. And that is following the breath here, for example, and treating the breath just conceptually as a movement. That actually can give rise to states of deep concentration and jhana. It's another practice that can be done, and but it's not the same way as mindfulness of the body, mindfulness following the breath immersed in the body. So those are some ways that distinctions can be made. So in your practice, Michael, I invite you to, if you're doing mindfulness of the breath, following the breath, be curious. Is the breath done mostly as a concept, in, out, or is it really sensed and felt as a bodily experience, as the sensations of the breath? And in which case is really, in that way, mindfulness of the breath is a practice of mindfulness of the body. They can become synonymous, supportive in that way. I hope that answers your question. So I will pause another moment or two because there is delay from the time that I say something on Zoom and it shows up on YouTube and you type the question and I see it. It can be quite a long loop. So I will wait and to see if there may be any other questions about mindfulness of the body, about the 4 elements, meditation. You are welcome. I see. Thank you for that clarification. And okay, I don't see any other questions. So I will bring our practice, our mini retreat to a close together. And thank you for sitting, for walking, for doing this practice, both for your own sake and for everybody's sake. And I look forward to joining us next week. And will also probably be a smaller group joining because most of the people are at the 2-week retreat, I guess. So wishing you well. May all beings be well. May all beings have ease. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your practice. And I look forward to practicing together next Wednesday. Thank you all. Take good care.